Up+Adam.
Tractor systems are offline.
We are Beyond FM.
Beyond FM.
The future of broadcasting is here.
Up+Adam with Adam Montiel. It's community content from Concentrate. It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
Some say life is where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Yes, some say life is just where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Welcome back and happy Monday. Thank you so much for being Up+Adam. My name is Adam Montiel. Hope you had a great weekend. Beautiful weekend. Excited about today's show. This lady, she is reimagining soul food for the modern world, fusing flavors from Jamaica, Poland, India, and the deep south even into dishes that don't just taste good, they hug you. Deborah VanTrece isn't just a chef. She is a storyteller, a best-selling author, a soul whisperer, they call her, and the brilliant force behind Global Soul Kitchen on the FYI network. Whether she's serving her world-famous adobo ribs in the Centurion Lounge or black-eyed pea biryani at her Michelin-lauded Twisted Soul Cookhouse, Deborah is proving that comfort food has no borders, and every bite has a backstory of hers. That's coming up. Looking forward to that. Until then, Pink Drank. You can win your tickets. Go to adammontiel.com. Right off the homepage. Tell you more about Pink Drank coming up later, but to win, get in adammontiel.com. All right, before we get into our chat with Deborah, I want to tell you about our new friends at Life Elements. And you know what is certainly welcome this summer? It's getting outside without getting eaten alive. Life Elements makes a clean, safe, plant-based bug spray that actually works. It repels mosquitoes, ticks. It's even safe for your kids, your dog, even your skin. No harsh chemicals, no weird stickiness, just real protection that doesn't smell like chemicals. Our friends at Life Elements do next level local skincare and wellness, handcrafted right here in Atascadero by the kind of people who might literally whip something up for you while you're there. Martha is known to do it. In addition to their spot in Atascadero, you could shop their products at The Hive in Arroyo Grande, the General Store in Paso, and of course, lifeelements.com. Check out lifeelements.com. Use the code word Adam when you're checking out. Get 15% off. Smell good, feel better, support something real. Lifeelements.com. Let them know you heard them on Up+Adam.
It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
All right, our guest today isn't just serving food. She's serving up stories, cultures, soul. Chef Deborah VanTrece is the visionary behind FYI's Global Soul Kitchen, show that airs Mondays, where she takes Southern comfort food and lets it dance with flavors from around the world. She's also the executive chef at the Centurion Lounge in Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, one of the busiest on earth, where her menu welcomes travelers from every corner of the globe, blending bold international influence with the heart of the South. Whether it's a Michelin-starred meal at her Twisted Soul or sweet potato waffle, she cooks with purpose. Excited to welcome Chef Deborah VanTrece. Thanks so much for being Up+Adam.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, food is this universal language, and obviously soul food is your dialect, but every chef has that early one dish, right? That one that unlocked everything, not just in the kitchen, but really your identity. What was that first dish that maybe you ever made that you thought, this is who I am on a plate?
Collard green roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an easy one. When I got out of culinary school and decided, the path I wanted to take after working for some different people was I needed to go out on my own and produce my vision. And one of the first opportunities I got was a catering gig, and I needed to do something, I thought, okay, like a splash, you got to make a splash, girl. So what are you going to do? So I'm doing this whole, idea of just kind of revamping soul food a little bit. And a big part of that was the visual. So visually, all I'd ever seen was soul food where you went into the cafeteria style, meeting three, it's on a plate. Yeah, then you pick that through, the little window, and they give you a little side of greens and a little bowl. And I thought, why does everyone else, they're focusing on how to make it pretty, and we're going to do this, and you'll have this many components. So let's figure this out with soul food. Going a little bit faster, there was the collard green, which I just got sick of seeing collard greens in a side bowl, and thought, how do you do something different? How do you present it different? And I looked at the domas, the Greek grape leaf, and it was stuffed. And I thought, why can't you cook these greens and then take them and make another green out of like a grape leaf and stuff one in the other and roll it, and then it becomes like this cute little cigar, and you can cut it on the bites and stand it up on the plate, and now it's pretty. That was the defining thing. And so everything after that I looked at kind of from that angle on how do I take this, and keep the flavors tasty, keep the flavors familiar, but also just change it up just a little bit on how we present it.
Hey, Chef, I love how you put that. How do you stay grounded in Southern soul while letting your dishes dance with flavors from places, India, Jamaica, Germany? Like, when do you know a dish is too far from its roots, or is that even a thing in your kitchen?
It's not, it is. It stays a thing. I want to put respect on dishes because I am borrowing from another culture. I don't pretend to know, that true story, but I do study about a dish when it's something that piques my interest, whether it's something I ate, whether it's something I see, something I see on a menu, something I see on TV. I want to know, where did that come from? Because generally the first thing it's going to touch is going to speak to me on something that is familiar to me, something that I've had already, and think, wow, that reminds me of this. And then I want to know, well, why did they do it this way? And why can't I do it the way that it reminds me of? How do I put the two together? Yeah. So that's the thought process behind it. One of the recipes I'll do this season is a galumpki, which I had no idea what it was. And someone told me this story of their Polish grandmother who used to make these rolled cabbage things that was stuffed. And I started looking it up. Okay, what is this? And it reminded me of my Aunt Eddie Mae's smoked neck bones and cabbage, and I put the two together. So sometimes it's just that simple. Sometimes it gets a little bit more complicated, but that's the basis of my thought process when I'm coming up with these recipes and ideas.
Talking to the chefs locally that maybe get in the Michelin Guide or there for a couple years, I mean, it really does, it changes. But when you can see that their food still hugs like it came out of, like in your case, your food still hugs like it came out of Mama's kitchen. How do you kind of hold on to that emotional warmth of the food, especially as your brand grows, your kitchens multiply, your clientele, it evolves?
The base of what I do came from emotion. It's what I do. That to me is the base of soul food. It is emotions that I'm putting into every dish. And I don't know anything, but I want it to be good. I want it to taste good. And I want you to know that I cared when I put this dish together. And, I have staff and I have to train my staff, but the constant conversation is about enjoying it, about it being good, not just about putting out these numbers. It has to be good. And I want, if I'm cooking and I teach my staff this, I have tasting spoons galore. So as we're cooking your individual dish, we're tasting it all along so that I know for sure it wasn't just good, it was great. You're feeling the hug when you bite into it, and I cared.
At the Centurion Lounge, you're feeding travelers in one of the busiest airports on earth. Well, that's wild. Most airport food is just that, right? Your cuisine makes people feel something. How do you kind of take the intimacy of soul food and translate it for someone who's, just trying to grab a bite between flights, but really still have an experience?
Well, I wanted to push, the story of Atlanta. And Atlanta has such a global food scene. There's some amazing chefs here. And when you're coming through that airport in Atlanta, I want you to get a little bit of taste of what we do. Our hospitality, our caring that, you come from different places all over the world and your palates may be a little bit different than ours. So what can I give you that may be familiar, but still enough that it showcases who we are in Atlanta. It's not an easy task, but I sit and, I have theme months generally, and the chefs that are working there every day have gotten where they understand that. And they understand that at any moment, I may come through that airport and check this food myself, because if it's not something that I feel is good, I don't want people to have that. I don't want, and it's hard when it's, those type of numbers, because it can get up to 3,000 people a day.
Damn.
So to keep the soul in that cuisine, it's not an easy task to do, and know that, okay, this one would say it's too salty. This one says it's not salty enough. So, making sure the products are fresh, looking at local vendors that we can utilize and help along the way, I think has helped to shape those menus and those experiences at the Centurion Lounge at the airport.
Food, it tells stories, but most people don't even realize every seasoning choice, every side dish, it's in line with a larger narrative. But when you design a new dish, chef, are you telling your own story or maybe somebody else's?
It's usually a combination of the two. Not only have I traveled as a flight attendant, I've lived in different countries. I've lived in several cities in France. I've lived in cities in Italy, cities in Spain, Argentina. And because of being a flight attendant, I am constantly around people who are of different cultures. That was something that went on for years, whether it was people I was flying with who originally came from Brazil, but now they live in Miami and they immigrants from here or immigrants from there. But food was just a big part of our conversation constantly. I don't know why, but it was one thing we always have in common. And when you get somewhere, where are we going to eat? What market are we going to? So all of those things combined have helped me with a huge story. So it's not just my personal story. It's when someone like that lady sat down and told me a story about her grandmother and this food memory. And those things stick with me. And those are things that get me to thinking, how do I showcase what meant something to them? What touched their soul? What type of food touched their soul? How do I tell that story? Because when you're telling it to me, it's touching my soul also.
What's and this one's a quick hit. Let me see if I can get this in right before we get out of here. What's a recipe? What's a recipe, chef, you've never written down because you're just not ready to share it yet?
Sweet potato biscuits.
Ooh, man, that sounds so good. Oh, chef, I can't thank you enough for the time here. All the links to the show notes, in the show notes for the show on Mondays. And what a fun chat. I would love to cross paths with you again. Thank you very much for the time. Thanks for being Up and Adam.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
All right, be sure to catch her on her Global Soul Kitchen Monday nights tonight, 10 p.m. on the FYI Network. And don't miss her book, The Twisted Soul Cookbook, for recipes and stories that feed way more than just your appetite. All the links to her restaurants, her Insta, her socials, all of it. It's all in the show notes. All right, you gearing up for Pink Drink? Bring your thirst, leave your excuses, because this summer we pour pink. Pink Drink is back Saturday, July 12th at the Elks Lodge in Slow. Over 30 of the hottest producers in wine, beer, cider, spirits, craft cocktails, you name it. All poolside, all dressed in pink. Curated bites, past apps, live DJ. It is going to be a one-of-a-kind tasting. This is Summer Serve Sexy. No other event quite like this. It all supports the Woods Humane Society, also the Elks National Foundation, so you can definitely party with purpose. Exclusively for the 21 and over, it's priced like it shouldn't be. Seriously, $65, and you're not going to leave thirsty or hungry. VIP ticket, $85, and you're going to walk away with a bottle of wine worth way more than $20. So do the math. Grab your tickets now. Pink Drink, DRANK, pinkdrink.org. Also, keep in mind you want to try your hat at winning a pair of tickets. Get to adammontiel.com, right off the homepage. Click, and good luck. All right, I hope the beginning of your week is going great and you're in store for a fantastic Monday. Thanks to our friends at Moonshiner Collective for original music on the show called Start Again. Check them out wherever you get your music, stream them wherever. Also, learn more, moonshinercollective.com. Thanks to our friends at Timbre Winery, giving us the Timbre Lobro studio. Their tasting room is in the village of Arroyo Grande. Taste their world-class wines. Love the stuff that they do and their involvement in Up and Adam with the Timbre Lobro studios. Thanks to you for rating, reviewing, subscribing to the show wherever you listen to it, connecting, sharing with a friend. It means a ton. Till tomorrow, I'm Adam Montiel. Thanks again, and thank you so much for being Up and Adam.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again. Let's start again. We'll start again. Let's start again.